Okay, in the comment section of my most recent video, Giving God a Makeover, my good friend, Euphoric Impact, put a link to his channel on the bottom. If you have not checked him out yet, I urge you to do so. Okay, in the comment section he said, my question is, before going into deeply with the process of making over or repackaging God, why do we need to? Don't you think we should start there first? I'm attempting to understand the ultimate payoff. Okay, why do we need to? I mean, I don't know if I necessarily classify it as a need, but I do feel it could be helpful. So yes, let's start there first, and let me see if I can explain at least what I believe could be the payoffs from this. First, I'll give my view on what God is ultimately. I understand theists are going to disagree with me, so if any of you see this, I fully understand. But my view is that it is an externalized projection of yourself. Now, or at least portions of yourself, and also combined with who you are, combined with your fears, combined with what you wish you were. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some other things that seek in there, the quest for meaning, a desire to answer the unanswerable questions, or the questions that were unanswerable back then, where do we come from, etc., etc. But as far as the personality of God, shall we say, and like the example I brought up in the last video, talking about Pat Robertson and Cornel West, and the same thing could be said about Martin Luther King and Bull Connor. They all practiced the same religion, had vastly different views of who or what God was or is, and and it comes from the self. Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Cornel West, and the list goes on. John Brown, people like this, they're loving individuals who care about humanity, and they projected that out onto God. And then you have your hateful bigots who project that out onto God. It justifies how they feel, what they want to do in life. Again, it's a little overly simplified. In fact, very overly simplified. But I think it hits the core of what we can get from this, because through projecting ourselves, giving us an external, a focus point, I guess you could say, does seem to have certain advantages. People who have that externalized focus point tend to feel that it's always there for a source of motivation, a source of comfort. Now, I don't think we should go that path as far as like saying it is, an objective existential fact. It just exists. If we are honest with ourselves and realize that, this is, not something worthy of, and not to worship it, but if we were to view something that exists within all of us, all of our collective empathy and love and compassion and decency and our concern for our fellow human beings, and say that is what we will worship as, I mean, not necessarily worship again, but hold in deep reverence and hold in awe, as something to focus on, when that is what we strive for. That is what we try to live up to. I think that can provide meaning in our hard times, how God does for the theists. And that's why I think the word God is actually fitting for this concept. I would also say that because we take it from, we view it as an externalized projection of all the good that exists within anybody, I think it also answers the question about the worth of human life. Because everybody has this in them. Even fucking Hitler had some love and decency. He loved animals. He was a fucking piece of shit, and he's a scumbag and a bigot, but he had that glimmer of humanity in him. The worst human being in the history of the world had a little bit of humanity in him. Just, the way things play out. Some people, it's real fucking hard to find. But, so I mean, to me, that's probably the biggest thing. Especially when you got the, people like, the passive eugenicists and, of course, the aggressive eugenicists. The people who want to rank, categorize, want to set a value, a differing set of values on other human beings' lives through their so-called races, their ethnicities, genders, their health, etc., 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 etc. We can say, and obviously because we're not saying it's some deity in the sky. We have to be honest and to say, this is subjective, is ultimately subjective, but how do I word this? But we try to come through to a consensus within the broader community that, there's not some guy that's gonna come down and kick us in the ass if we treat each other like shit. But there is something that exists within all of us that makes each one of us more worthy than all the money in the world, more worthy than anything else we can possibly comprehend. It is the decency that lives within each one of us. I don't know. I didn't want to take the time to write a script. I wanted to get this out, so I hope I answered your question, and let's see where this discussion goes. All right, peace.